Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yes. Good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful morning this morning in my neck of the woods. Yeah, it's a weekend. I don't view messages, Debbie, until um Monday. And if you send it on Friday, I still won't view it until Monday, depending on what time. Or maybe even on Thursday. Friday I was busy. But I'll view it. Don't worry. I will take a look at it. First thing first, everybody, how's the video? How's the sound? A dandelion. Wow, I don't remember that. Sold all kinds of stuff, and sometimes I sold nothing. How's the video? How's the sound? How many cups of coffee is everybody on? I'm drinking matcha this morning. I am drinking matcha. Two, one, first sip. Ah, nice, nice, nice. First sip. Those are the best, right? Getting one. That's good. Everyone needs their coffee, right? Sunday morning, bright and early. Okay, everybody. Today, I was going to do a continuation of the vacuum principle uh, concepts that I talked about last week. Didn't have time to get the notes together. So I have that scheduled for next week. So if that's what you were interested in hearing about, well, we're going to talk about something else today. Um, who here is joining us or joining me for the first time? Who is joining us for the first time? If you're here and it's your first time, say me. If you're shy, say I. And if we don't have any first timers, we can just dive right into it. Nobody here for the first time. Wow, that's pretty cool. All regulars. That's helpful. So today, we're going to go over a couple of things, but first, I want to talk about. You're a regular. I'm going to talk about two things here. One, make sure you check out the information I have in the buy it now if you're interested. Definitely. We'll talk about this again at, near the end of the show about coming to the PA meetup. If you want detailed information, make sure you ask them or direct them towards Zoe's Treasures. But you can purchase tickets in my buy it now right now. I will be one of the speakers there. I Love Discounts will be there. Uh, Dragonfly Neen will be there, and Zoe's Treasures crew will be there as well. So there'll be a nice core group of people going over some core principled information, not to mention the fun networking that's going to happen as a result, conversations to be had after all that. Oh, thank you for the purchase. That's awesome. And I mean, the price is you can't beat it. So the other thing is I've changed the format a little bit for these um, chat shows. I'm going to just dive right into the information. So in other words, if you were used to me doing like a half an hour of just Q&A and you don't want to miss the core information, you're going to be here earlier. Right out of the gate. And the reason that is because I started posting this information, should be posted um, on YouTube for you to watch. And the channel for that is Reece, Reece. That's my last name on Resale. You can go check that out. And obviously, the other YouTube channel where we have a podcast going with, again, there's three of us. There's I Love Discounts, Zoe's Treasures, and myself, Green 13, are involved in that. And that's the Reselling Roundtable. So today we're going to go over something fun. I was talking about this, the principles behind it from a different perspective. There was a ton of perspectives to look at this um, aspect, and I'm going to go through it in a multi-phase principle here this morning. Uh, if you're interested in watching the other video, I think the video that I did a pop up on a I don't remember what night it was. Doesn't matter what night it was, but I do believe it was recorded and had been posted. If not, I'll see about making sure it gets up there. There you go. Millicent's putting all that fun information in for everybody. So everybody, we're gonna get started talking about free shipping. It was a Thursday. It always was like, it's a Thursday. It didn't matter. It's one of those days I did a random pop up. So we're going to talk about free shipping again, and I'm going to go and take you through a multi-phase principled aspect of free shipping. Free shipping is the best shipping. So obviously, the second best of free shipping is discounted. Some of the principles will apply also to discounted shipping, but just on a heavier base instead of a lighter base, meaning that from the perspective that I go through, and I'm going to bring you through, the value of free shipping is the greatest of any option you have. Free shipping being the most valuable to you once you figure out how to get it accomplished and ingrained. I've been doing some additional studying as I like to do. One of the attributes that I failed to study, being human and you never wanting to feel your own flaws, is looking at certain attributes that affect you that could affect the results. And we're going to talk about that later as well. That's the end of the conversation that I'm going to have here on free shipping, or the end of the points that I'm going to be going over. Um, because that is one of the largest attributes to why discounted and free shipping doesn't work for people, is the own psychological impact on them as a person and the way you react accordingly. So I don't know how many people here. Let's not worry about free shipping. How many people here are sellers? I'm hoping that a good majority of you are sellers. The people that are sellers on here, well, yeah, let me finish my questions. How many people in here that are sellers utilize at least discounted shipping? Okay. How many people on here don't utilize any of the discounted shipping and only use the weighted ingrained model that Whatnot has as far as full, let's just call it full shipping prices? Okay. I'm trying to get an idea of the weighted average here. Okay, so this should help everybody across the board, whether you've been involved. The principles I'm going to go over, understanding them should help you also increase the value to any discounted and or free shipping, or it may even help you. My goal is to make you understand that transitioning from discounted to free is a benefit, and people that don't do discounted can go from non-discounted to discounted shipping and increase the value to what they have to offer here online to online sales. Um, I've gone through, like I said, doing some personal reflection research based on those personal reflections on how things are affecting me to the point where chances are even my Friday sales, with the strategies that I'm going to start incorporating, I might go there's a high likelihood that I'll return back to free shipping on my Friday sales, which I was on free shipping, then I went, and in hindsight being 2020, I can see the same principles affecting me that caused it to not be as valuable that as I thought, where it is, and it's me and the effects it has on me that is creating the destruction in value that free shipping brings. All right, so let's talk about, I talked about some principles before. You can go back and watch that video now. The other principle I'm going to go over here when it comes to free shipping in the way your buyers perceive the free shipping. And these are additional core concepts that bring value to reduce or free shipping. A lot more with free shipping. These are more core principles that are going to deal. And I'm not going to go, I have this tendency to go into too much, so I've been trying to not go into tons and tons, and then compound on top of that, which that's what this is. I did the same thing just previously with the with this topic. So now you can go back and watch that video on YouTube, and then you can come and go back once this is done, watch this video again to see all the different attributes. So one of the main principles that calls a value, that create, I shouldn't say calls, creates a value to offering free shipping, um, is the concept of what's called holistic perception versus partitioned pricing. Okay, partition pricing is a principle where we have to do as consumers some sort of mental math. Okay, so when we're buying something, we take, whether you realize it or not, subconsciously or consciously. The worst is when it gets to the conscious level, because then it really impacts you all that much more. But subconsciously, it's still going to impact you. Where you have to evaluate everything you purchase in a two-step model. So if you're charging shipping, your brain has to look at it as two costs. Okay, you have a cost of the item and you have a cost of the shipping. That is partition pricing. So just me saying that, can anyone already understand the negative principles or aspects that a consumer's brain goes through needing to deal with just that principle? Everyone, yep, yes, no, okay. Just that principle alone already creates an additional attribute of what's called friction. You hear me say this a lot. I love that concept. When I started doing research in transactions between buyers and sellers, the term friction, and your goal is always to reduce the amount of friction for a smooth transaction, which always leads to more valuations in a multitude of ways, not just monetarily, but repeat buyers and brand buy-in colossally. Okay, so partition pricing. Okay, you're breaking your item into two different prices. Now, um, what does that create? Okay, it creates a necessity for your brain to do mental math. One, okay, to come up with what you believe is a comfortable price, if you can, or if you can't, then your hesitancy creates a decision to spend even less because you don't have the capacity to do quick math right on the second. So if you can't come up with a number, your immediate reaction is going to be what? To go towards a more safe number, and that's going to be a lower number. So you already have that attribute going for you when you were charging shipping. The other thing people fail to understand, I shouldn't say fail to understand, they understand it, they don't realize how this applies to the utilization of free shipping. When you buy something, someone values it based on what they paid for it, right? Right? When you buy something, you're like, hey, I value that based on what I paid for it. So if you pay more for it, you value it more. If you pay less for it, you value it more. Everyone understand and agree? We understand this concept, right? Yes. When you pay for something, each individual person that's part of the endowment effect. When you buy something, you value it based on the price you paid for it. If you buy something that's worth, you paid $300 for it, you're going to say it's worth $300 or more. Okay. Like, I bought that for $300. I value that at $300. Or I bought that for $20. I value that at $20. Now, that perception of personal value increases the psychological value of the item. And what I'm getting at here is you're decreasing the perceived value of said items by partitioning your prices. So let's say you're charging $5 shipping and your item's going to go for $20, whichever way. I don't care if you started at $20 or it's going to hit $20 in the auction method. The perceived value of that item for the person is going to be the $20 because there's no physical value attributed from the shipping cost over to the item. Now, if you combine the two, the holistic perception, and they pay $25, they're willing to pay $25 whether it's split or not, but the value they're willing to attribute to it is more, and that triggers additional aspects of the endowment effect, which triggers the willingness to pay even more because personal ownership increases value in personal perception. So that elongates the endowment effect. And that's even if you're not using the auction method that I talk about. Even if you have an item, when I say the endowment effect, I'm talking about utilizing low starts. And also what I'm talking about is people that charge full shipping based on these principles. There's no reason you shouldn't just be doing, if you utilize higher start prices. I don't advocate for that, but let's say you are an advocate for higher start price principles. You should be discounting your shipping and wrapping as much of it in as you can to the item itself because it increases the item's value based on the perception of the person that is buying the item. Everyone following along, you understand? When you split it, when you charge tons of shipping, it devalues the item and actually creates a self-fulfilling prophecy, essentially, of creating fewer elements of ownership, which is what the endowment effect is, phantom ownership, thereby decreasing the overall value of said item. Okay, and that wraps into the intangibility of shipping costs. Shipping costs have no tangible value. That is what we're talking about. That's a segue from partition pricing creates a non-tangible value. And who likes to pay money for non-tangible items, for something that essentially only has a service-based value to you? It is viewed as strictly a cost, okay? A necessary cost. You understand how negatively that contributes. And what I'm trying to get at is these are psychological underpinnings that devalue your sales because not only does it seem like a $5 loss to you, we talked about loss aversion, and a loss hurt your valuation principles twice as much as a gain provides. So if people are perceiving that they are throwing $5 away for shipping in order to buy an item, to them that has the same emotional impact, not emotional, but psychological impact as a $10 loss. You follow? You guys understand? So you can start quickly seeing how much devaluation you are creating out of your merchandise by charging shipping and higher shipping costs. You are affecting the perceived value. And then if you create a holistic transaction, okay, you have the principles of brand buy-in because you're making the shipping and the purchase all one smooth transaction. They don't perceive it then as a loss. They perceive everything that they spent on the item as purely a gain in buying the item, and based on the price they paid for the item, it increases the value, thereby making them willing to pay a few dollars more. Does that make sense? Does everybody understand? Everybody following what I'm talking about? This is just some of the principles. All right. I'm not going to go into a million different aspects because we will continue talking about this because it ties into so much. You can go watch the other video where I talk about other principles of value to offering reduced or free shipping. If you're asking me questions, I'm not going to be answering them right now until after I'm done going through all the topics, and then I'll open up for questions. So please save them. Okay. Um, I have a. Yeah, I'm not going to get there. There's a whole list I have here where attributes of arbitrary coherence, the anchoring principles, the reactance theory, all that stuff ties right into shipping. And I talked about some of those, and we'll talk about more in the future. But here's what I really want to go over. I could sit here and talk till I'm blue in the face about all the values that are can be attributed to uh, low starts, free shipping, or even higher starts coupled with free shipping. So basically, what I'm hoping everyone takes away, even if you don't agree with me on my low start principle, that offering the free shipping or discounted shipping and incorporating it into the value of the item is going to give you a psychological advantage in your sales. Okay. But I'm going to go over what and the whys of how it impacts us as far as sellers and why we are reluctant to adopt these principles. Okay. I got to grab my notes here, make sure I'm on the right notes and I don't go over the wrong thing. So let me walk you through a scenario. I'll walk you through a scenario like me. Okay. This takes a lot of effort. It took a lot of time to get comfortable with this. In my sales model, I do dollar stars with free shipping. So I'll give you the worst case scenario that was the hardest thing for me to get over behaviorally. Okay. As far as having an automatic behavioral reaction, I sell something started at $1, and let's say it sells for $1. And then this neat little thing pops up that says first time buyer. What does that mean, everybody? What is most people's brain going to go to if they're doing free shipping, dollar starts, and it's a first time buyer? What do you know just happened? What do you know without any shadow of a doubt in that moment? What just happened? No, 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 no. No. To you as a seller, what happened in your brain? I lost money. Okay. You guys are answering the questions based on the long term attributes of what I had to constantly reframe my perspective to not be affected by that loss. You guys are responding by saying like repeat purchases. I'm going to gain, like, those are the mental triggers that I had to adopt to get my brain out of the frame of that loss. And that's the first thing I want to talk about. It's called narrow framing. Okay. Narrow framing is just that. You're allowing a isolated incident to affect you, to look at it as a loss. And again, loss aversion principle stipulates that you're going to let that affect you twice as much. And since it's actualized and realized right in that moment, it affects you right in that moment. Which brings us to the other thing. It's called temporal discounting, where your brain can't separate from the longevity principle that you have to employ for aggregate valuations of your entirety of your sale to not allow yourself to be affected by a narrow frame situation like an item selling for $1 where you know you're losing that $5 or $4 in shipping right then and there. So it creates a bubble that you of devaluation in that very instance, thereby affecting you immediately right then and there. False check. We all everyone following. These are the principles why we don't do the free shipping or the discounted shipping. And understanding these is what helps you create strategies to avoid these pitfalls, because these are the pitfalls that people run into. And I hear it time and time again. People actually vocalize, I just can't help but allow that to affect me. I just can't deal with that. I can't deal with the fact that I know I'm losing this and I know I'm losing that. But you're doing it at the cost of future value, future gains, because we all know that if you take human emotion out of this, the value of free shipping starts showing itself. That's why large corporations can capitalize on it, because they don't have the human emotion. They just have numbers and statistics, and they just tell the systems to do it and provide it. They're removed from it. We are not. We are ingrained right in the thick of it while we're live selling. So the beauty of the live selling comes, like I always say, twofold. I can't remove my emotional state and just let it run on autopilot. So I'm being affected by it. And the positive side is I can affect things on the positive side in the emotional states of my buyers and myself if I work on it. So, and the principle of temporal discounting is exactly that. I did. Sorry, Zoe's mod. I'll get it. I'll get your rage, me. The temporal discounting is the principle. that says exactly that, that the immediate dissatisfaction overtakes the ability to understand something that has not yet been realized. It's in the future, it's too far in the future, and it's unknown. So you have a known versus an unknown. So, of course, what are you going to be affected the most by? That right there and then. Let's get Shmi's raid. Shmi, sorry I missed your raid. Shmi, thank you for the raid. You and you alone can feel free to plug your shows if you're still here. Let everybody know what you sell when you sell, and anybody likes what they have to say. Please put market follow. And remember, everybody, one and only one person can plug their shows, and that's the raider and the raider only, which can do so up to 2 or 3 times in the next several minutes if they so desire. Again, thank you for the raid, and I hope you had a great and wonderful show. So, between those two principles, they're called narrow framing and temporal discounting. It's a huge, giant stranglehold on you psychologically that sways you and creates all kinds of excuses and reasonings why you don't want to do it. We all following? So I can put it another way. An instant pain versus a deferred reward is a very simple way of putting it. You're succumbing to that. So there's certain attributes you can put into play, and we'll go over some of that later. But the next thing I want to talk about is it ties into what I talked about before. I think the last pop-up show I did when I was talking about how the self-fulfilling prophecy of the downward trajectory of your show goes once you hit a certain point of a mental state during your shows. Okay. So let's say this happens. Okay. You start seeing, or you start doing a kind of a mental math in your head while you're doing a show, or just not even a mental math. You just feel like you're over and over again, you're losing money because items aren't bringing what you were hoping to in order to compensate for your shipping. And we all know, again, based on these core principles of how our brains react, we are allowing that to become super effective, negative, super negative in our perceptions and perspectives of what things could be. And here's where it gets really bad. It turns into a downward spiral because as soon as you recognize it in your brain, what happens to you while you're selling? What happens to you while you're selling? I sell something, it goes for $1 or it goes for less, and I feel like, oh, geez, I just lost $5 on that one. Then it happens again. And then a few sales later, it happens again. What happens to me? What happens to me during the sale when that kind of stuff starts happening? And this is a hard one when you're trying to adopt it because a lot of the emotional states you succumb to is because it's going to happen more frequently until you get out of those mental states. You get discouraged. Yeah. You start getting negative. And then what's your reaction? What's your reaction to that negativity? What do you start doing in the chat? What do you start asking everybody to do? You start either in the tone of your voice or direct verbiage trying to get people to bid higher or bid more. Yep. You start basically in the inflection in your voice. You could say the exact same words of telling someone they got a good deal or they're stealing. They can tell when you are feeling that you're getting taken advantage of, or you feel like you're not making enough money and you're becoming desperate. And then what happens? Well, increase in start bids, you're done. You're doomed. If you do that, you're doomed. You basically better shut down the show if you decide to adopt a strategy mid-show to start increasing start bids. They don't leave. They don't leave if you keep running your items. Why would they leave if essentially items are getting cheaper and they're cheaper? No. What do they do when you're complaining? Yes, they smell blood in the water. When you have the air of complaining, frustration, okay? And then we get into what we were talking about earlier. So you got to understand something as simple as a few $5 losses, two or three $1 sales. And this is my translation. This translates to everybody depending on what level you're at and whatever your start prices are. Starts turning into a visible and audible frustration. I don't think they're gonna leave, because if there's someone that likes what you have to offer and are willing to buy, and I can attest to the fact that they don't leave, because when this happened to me the other day when I did the show, where I had two shows, one was a clear aspect of this where I was getting irritable in the show and it was audibly noticeable. The prices stayed suppressed and kept going down, and the room count stayed the same. And that's because the prices, they're not going to go anywhere when the values are lower. I'm just not making money. I'm either losing money or losing profits. So, what that's called, okay? When you start giving these signals, let's call them, of higher prices, or you start trying to pressure your buyers into bidding more, it's actually a behavioral principle that was studied, and the term they gave to it was called bidder, as in bidding resistance. It's an aspect that you are trying to influence them to a higher value, and no one likes to be influenced. No one likes to be taken out of their own decision making realm. They want to be the one in charge of their decisions. They don't want that to be removed. So what do the bidders do? They say mentally, they go, I'm going to take charge and I'm going to tell you what I'm willing to pay. And it's not going to be what you're asking, which translates to what, everybody? In prices. What does that translate to in prices? Come on, that's easy math. If I'm asking for higher prices, and they're going to say, I'm not going to do what you're asking because I'm the one in control and you're trying to take my control. Bitter resistance, yes. Suppress prices, lower prices. You get the complete opposite. It's also called the boomerang effect, where what you ask for, you throw out there, and what comes back, it comes back. You don't get what you wanted. Comes back the opposite. It's under the umbrella of what's called the reactance theory, where that they have the pushback effect, essentially. So this, from start to finish, okay, hopefully you understand what we went through, is some of the small benefits, a ton of additional benefits to utilizing free shipping, to the principles behind why you don't want to do the free shipping and how it affects you, and then the extended results of that exact effect, thereby giving you an overall uh, view and belief that there's no value, or the value's not there, when it is 100% there. What's not there is your perception and your ability to not succumb to these um, behavioral principles. We are human and you're going to be affected by it. And these are solidly ingrained and very hard to avoid from happening without, one, understanding them, and two, having a system in place, or plans and ideas of how to pivot away from it. Now, are you going to be able to do it every time? No, but understanding it and putting plans in place will give you the availability to take advantage of the value that is to be had with things like free shipping, and at a very minimum, reduced shipping. Okay. So just understanding it helps you catch yourself in the midst of it. Okay. Just understanding that going, okay, I understand the value this brings. So if something negative happens, okay, just understanding that there's value helps soften the loss to you, the perception of loss, if you're utilizing discounted or free shipping. So one of the biggies to me that's easiest to pick up, besides understanding all the additional values, the more and more I studied it, the more and more value I saw. So the more and more I was not affected by people getting dollar. I mean, I've gotten to the point, much like my brother's talked about. My brother talks about when he sells gold. He gets excited when people get it for cheap because it has a huge impact on the rest of his sale. So it makes him happy. I've gotten to the point where when somebody gets something for $1, I've gotten so happy about it. With free shipping, I give them extra merchandise because of the benefits it brings to the entirety of my sale. I've gone from literally having these emotional effects on me of, okay, I know free shipping works. How's this going to work? Because just so everyone understands, there was a day that I tried free shipping, and because of all these attributes that I'm talking about, I thought too that it wasn't worth it. I even came up with a reason why I thought it wasn't worth it, and realized that I had a biased perspective on it, and there was more to it to be learned, and it was all right here in my head. And I turned the whole thing around the whole way to the point where now, if I have free shipping and someone wins something for $1, they get, I throw in freebies. I give them even more because of the value that it brings. Okay. And that's other core concepts that we didn't even go into today. I touched on some previously in another video that you can go watch on YouTube. But one of the attributes that you first start looking at is that it's more of a um, marketing principled. Everyone buys into, and this is another, I'm putting a huge thing together that deals with giveaways. Okay. So let's just parallel this to the marketing cost people, including giveaways. Okay. As soon as you attribute the money losses that you feel you're getting as a result of people getting discounted or free shipping as a marketing expense, you immediately alleviate or reduce that pain that you're feeling. Because every time you're not worried about it, you're like, hey, that's just a marketing expense, part of my marketing expense. You can add it up at the end of a sale and see if it's within your allotable threshold for it. But the amount of times that it actually happens is just as infrequent. So think about you giving away stuff. The amount of shipping you pay and the amount of giveaways people do equates to more than what the amount of random time somebody gets something where it's costing you as a negative in shipping, where the item sells for so low that you end up paying out. And then it truly discounts in comparison to when it increases the amount of items a person buys, where their entire order, you look at the value of their entire order. And then when you start doing that, you start realizing that you don't need to be as influenced by that narrow attribute, the narrow framing principle. So the other things besides just that is some of the other things I just touched on. The buy-in principle, the willingness, same as the giveaway principle, utilizing free shipping is viewed as a holistic value, meaning that because the person paid more, they perceive it as a higher value to themselves. And if they have higher valued items of appreciation, they're going to come back to you. And that happens through reduced shipping or free shipping. And it's a two. And here's what's beautiful about this. I want you to think about it from this perspective. If they pay more and they have that stance, they also have you have a win-win situation because if they get it for $1, what kicks in when they have free shipping? As opposed to it feeling like a cheap dollar item and you offered free shipping, what does it feel like then? No. What does it feel like to you if you win something for $1 and you literally only have to pay $1 for it? A deal. So on the low end, they feel like they get a great deal. And on the high end, they think they got a valuable item. And this all can come to fruition with free shipping. Free shipping provides that psychological barrier, not barrier, but that freedom of win-win because you allow them to pay more for the item because the free shipping attributes more value to it because they can spend more value, they can spend more on the item, thereby providing more value to them. And then if they get it for really cheap, it becomes a deal, thereby creating value. You have a value proposition on both ends of the spectrum where you if you incorporate shipping right then and there, you don't. Guess what happens? Listen, guess what happens when someone buys something for $1 and you pay $3 to $5 for shipping? What often goes through people's brains? Even if it was a deal, the loss goes up exponentially. Why? Why? Because you paid 3 times or 4 times just for the shipping than what the item cost. How many people here get frustrated if they see their shipping costs more than their item did? How many people avoid buying stuff if they see that the shipping costs more than the item does? Why does nobody ever put items up like that? You'll never see items on an optic based platform where they're like, oh, the shipping's $100 and the item's 50. Why? Because no one's going to buy it. But what will be funny is if they flip flop that, make the item $100 and shipping 50, people will buy it, even though the total's the same. And that's because of the perceived loss that happens through a transaction that has shipping associated with it because it's not attributed to the item itself. That is a perfect example of how this concept works. That the value is in your perception. Well, and then that's even better. Like, here's what's funny. I already know the answer to this. Let's say we you know if you're going through the internet and you had 3 different study groups, we already know that this is going to be the outcome. You had one situation where it was $100 shipping and $50 for the item. Another situation where it's $100 for the item and $50 shipping. And then another situation where it was $150 with free shipping. You already know what each isolated group of people that would be tested in those, what the percentage of purchases would be. I don't even need to spell it out for you. It doesn't take a genius to already know. You already know what the effects are going to be. I'm going to read a couple of comments in here. Are you talking about when I give extra items away? I'm not sure what the original response was. I don't know what the original statement was. You're saying you have like people have a you're saying that people have a negative correlation to me saying if you're gonna steal from me, you're gonna rob. I don't know what the original statement was. You feel bad when you get something for $1 with free shipping? Oh, I'm sure there's going to be people that happens to. Oh, I'm sure it could be better. Millicents. I don't even say it properly half the time. I'll work on it. I'll take that constructive criticism. That's not a bad thing. I could see how that would be a potential enhancer of people in that emotion that have that response. I could totally see that. You like when I say that? I reward people for paying attention. You prefer I go to that, and here you go. Here's a reward for paying attention. That you like that track that I've done? Like I combine both of those, eliminate the other. I don't mind if hey, you guys are the buyers. You know, if you have an emotional reaction, like a reactional feeling towards things that I say, I'm all ears. And there's always ways I could do it that you know how I say I want to cast the net as wide as possible. So if I could reframe that is going to affect more people in the same way, all the more power. So reframing is not a problem. And the only way I'm going to think about critiquing or reframing is if people let me know. Kind of like when Jody told me to stop complaining about people not bidding fast enough. Yeah. So here's what I would normally say. And now I'm gonna honestly change it up a little bit. In order to capitalize on the value that I was talking about with the free shipping, when somebody would win something for $1, I would say like, "Oh, if you're going to steal from me, you're going to rob." So here you have some extra stuff, and I can see how that has a negative correlation or principle behind it. Could make some people feel bad. So if I tell them, word it as a reward, that is way better because I already do that some, and now instead of that, I'll just adopt it. Hey, you were the one paying attention. Congratulations. Here's some extra goods. Here's an extra item for paying attention in my show. Everyone else was asleep. Does that sound better, Millicents? You guys like that better? Done. That's a no brainer for me. That's going to be just as effective, if not more. And the only way, again, everybody here, I am not against constructive criticism. Yeah, if everybody likes it better, then absolutely I'm going to adopt that. No, that doesn't get people to bid less. No, 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 that doesn't get people to bid less. No, there's too much value in it. There's too much appreciation. There's too much uh, relationship capital that is gained as a result. And me wording it that way, I can 100%. Now that you're pointing it out, it's just something that happened out of the blue. Now that you pointed it out. Oh, by the way, on a side note, I talked about this before. That bidder resistance also happens when you try to get people to bid faster, which is one of the self-reflecting things I had to do. So I've obviously adopted the uh, understanding that essentially begging for people to bid faster is going to activate that exact same principle, and they're going to do the opposite. And then that's going to turn into nothing but a frustrating aspect to me. Don't sleep. Yeah, I can see how some people, but that's a hard one to get out. And I think the don't sleep thing comes with inflection and environment of the room. Just kind of like There's other when people are asking, depends on what room you're in and how people do it. Like certain people don't like when somebody's constantly saying chat in the room, but other people can say chat frequently and not offend at the same time. Yeah. Yeah. I say that, you know, all right. Yeah. Like just, I say that every now and don't sleep. I mean, you could change it up, but don't miss out. Then I don't sleep. Just feels less salesman-y to me. I'm sure if somebody's saying it over and over and over again, you start getting the idea that what they're selling isn't worth what they're hoping for, which creates that same uh, you know pushback effect where they'll actually pay less. Rachel, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, it's that. I mean, you're vocalizing exactly what I was talking about with that with the behavioral principle of bitter resistance. When you tell somebody what to do, they're going to go, "No, I'm in charge here. I'm going to do what I want to do." You prefer the sarcasm, yeah? I mean, don't. It's not like I'm the. I don't know for what sarcasm you're talking about, but yeah, if you and you can't. There's no way to please everybody under the sun. So I started bunny trailing here. Let's do some questions. I started reading the chat and it turned into bunny trail. I didn't really go over a whole lot. I think I wanted to go over a few more strategies that could be employed to prevent these aspects affecting you to where you then could realize the financial potential gains you could get from free shipping. But some of that we can save for another day because I'm at the almost 9 o'clock mark, and I want to get to some Q&A time. I want to get to some Q&A time. So I know you guys had questions that I did not read. We went over. I went over. You know the the stages like I wanted to. So if there's anything that you had questions for that I didn't answer, please ask it again, and that way we can go over it. Make sure you use a question mark, or even if you had like a statement that you made that you want to direct it towards me, make sure you use a question mark. But we went over the a couple, just two of the free shipping concepts, and there's a large amount of them that are yet to go over, and we've already gone over in the past. And I will go over more again, so they'll be now available for viewing on YouTube. Uh, I went over why we avoid it, and then the results of uh, when we put into action the avoidance principles, how it creates a downward spiral of events. Yep, it's going to be on YouTube, Rachel. You're gonna want to watch, and I'm going to keep doing some more of these on free shipping and discounted shipping because it's all right here, and that's what I just went through. It's a effect on yourself that it's hard. It's ingrained. It's hard, and you have to practice in order to get out of it. And I'm telling you right now that the way to do it is not just to adopt free shipping; it's to systematically reduce shipping as you go along. It's also helpful for your buyer base. No, and that's exactly what I mean. I think new sellers, I always say this, you need to know your numbers and get comfortable with stuff. Learn how to do shipping. You don't want to have too many negative attributes to the first time you start selling. So you're not going to be able to adopt that right out of the gate. You're going to want to sell with essentially full shipping. My suggestion is sell smaller and lighter items right out of the gate till you understand how the shipping on here works, because that's one of the most confusing attributes to Whatnot. And then you also get an idea what the numbers are going to look like. So then you can start developing your reduced or free shipping strategy. And if you have a question for me or want me to read something, make sure you use a question mark. No, taxes are not free. No, you never get rid of sales. I mean, sales tax is sales tax. Did I see Whatnot bought an AI company last week? No, I didn't. We can talk about that in another show. I kind of wanted to stay on this topic if we could, uh, and then the last half an hour we can go to random topics. But if nobody has any questions, I know there was questions earlier. Maybe because I didn't answer it, they were like, "I'm out of here." But yeah, if you're going to decide to adopt free shipping, okay. Did I study psychology? No. If you're going to, I read a lot of behavioral science related stuff. Um, if you're going to give it a try, don't do it in a big way. Get yourself comfortable with it and make sure you understand that you have to preset your strategy of the mental pivot you're going to do when you get hit with those psychological principles that will impact you during the show, because that's the crux of what causes the 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 aspect of perceived losses as opposed to looking at the overall gains. So whatever things will work for you, and I highly suggest you write it down on a piece of paper, like it's just marketing expense or any other principle that you want to write down, that like this is future value, future buy-in, however you want to do that. Write it down as a little cue card and put it right in front of you when you're selling. So when it happens, you have an actionable item you can go read and trigger your brain to stop focusing on it and get right back to it. Mine that I'm doing, and I talked about it overall, if I'm starting to feel I'm being influenced by anything, my blanket thing is it's the experience stupid. I'm getting a little sticker or plaque made that says that. Literally says it's the experience stupid. So I know, like, get back to the core principle, and the experience is where the value is on here. And I did a whole talk about that. You can go back and watch. That's what the vacuum sales first series was about. How we're going into a experience based, what I call X commerce, that'll create a colossal shift in values of items. So, all right, question here. Many people think they are not big enough to do free shipping. Can you talk about what happened on a macro level when you offer free shipping? Well, you don't need to be big. If you can sell at all, these principles apply. And again, I'm just going to refer you now to go back and watch it on YouTube if you didn't catch the beginning part where we talk about all the psychological principles. That is, you're just shifting value, and you can do that no matter how large or how small you are. There, you understand. Thank you for bringing that up, Zoe Treasures. But even if you're small, shifting the value of free shipping over. And that's what I'm talking about there, is not necessarily doing dollar starts. Yes, when you get bigger, you can offer more and more discount that starts contributing to larger valuations. But being able to understand the principle that shifting that non tangible cost, which is nothing but a loss in shipping, over to tangible value in the item, is something that can be adopted by everybody. So, is that what you were asking me, Zoe's Treasures? I want to make sure I was hitting the kind of the points of what you were trying to. Okay, yeah, that principle applies everywhere, because that's just a blanket principle. That that whether you have a small follow or a small buyer base or a large buyer base, the way we respond to prices are the same. As far as a direct pricing valuation, now we could get into, and we're not going to, into all the other experience-based principles that I talk about, and I encourage you to help increase valuations and set your own benchmarks for value, which is the opportunity that is presented to us through the new selling options that we have now with live selling, which is why I'm saying there's a colossal dynamic shift happening as we speak, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and faster as we move forward exponentially. Let me see here. It can also be reduced shipping as you grow. Oh, yeah. It can be. But what I don't want you to do, Jet Set, is say the term sweet spot. A good point of progression would be my preferred perspective, because if you can get to a spot where you realize the value of reducing, that means you can get to the spot where you realize the value of free. That, do you understand? That sweet spot is more for your psychological health, your barrier you put into place of I'm willing to account for this much, but not yet for the other. And that's perfectly fine. That makes you comfortable, but don't stop right there and then. Make sure you push further. Yes. And Jet Set, go back and watch the beginning of this on YouTube. All right. Go back and watch the beginning of this, and you'll understand a little bit more what I'm referring to. And that's what I suggest. I don't suggest people adopt free shipping until they know their numbers and have tried some other options like reduced shipping and slowly, incorporate. Farm. No, my profit margin has not gone down. Are you asking what the costs as a percentage are? It doesn't take from profit. The cost of percentage over the years that I've been doing it has gone down. My profits have gone up, and so the way you worded it was, how much profit does it take? It doesn't take profit. It is added profit to my bottom line. It is added profit. Do. I'm very small, but I'm going to try the dollar free shipping today. Kate, I don't suggest that. Just so you know, I suggest you shift to either dollar starts in the same shipping or the same start you already had with reduced shipping. My personal opinion is keep your already start price. If you have a basic start price, like a $3 or $5 start price, do a reduction in shipping first. Transfer some of that shipping cost over, or if you already have really low shipping, keep your start price the same and go to free shipping. Incrementally bring it down, because that creates a longer term value effect for your supporter base, because it's an appreciation that you can give in return for their buying, and you can do it and you can capitalize on that multiple times instead of just all at once. That's the other thing you have to realize, their strategy in incorporating these principles that you can actually capitalize on in a staggered way. You can show appreciation to your buyers one step at a time. That way you get the element of buy-in multiple times instead of once. Does that make sense, Kate? Yeah, if you already have, I don't know what your start prices are, but if you already have reduced or low shipping, do the free shipping and make it an event for your buyers. Just say, call it, the first thing you want to do is call it like customer appreciation day, or Kate gives back, or buyer appreciation, free shipping. Buyer appreciation is good because it's the buyers that get it. Make it an event show, and then that way, oh yeah. I mean, the event becomes the experiment. And then understand that the event factor will play into it. So the numbers you get will be a little skewed, but it'll at least give you some nice, comforting numbers that then you can work with, as long as you understand the event factor So if you do it again and it doesn't have the same results, then you know that that's more of your baseline, and the event was an outlier, and it will most definitely help build an audience. All right, what else do we got here? I'm going to go back up here, see if I can find questions. Isn't shipping cost a tax deduction? I still pay the shipping costs. Are you talking about from a box? No. Listen, shipping costs are an expense, and an expense is a tax deduction. Okay, I'm not an accountant. It's that doesn't matter. Like, me not charging shipping doesn't affect that at all, unless Zoe's Treasures has an opinion otherwise. From the and I'm not an accountant. I'm going to say for me and the way I do my accounting for my business, I have expenses, and do they get added? Yeah, because I still pay the shipping, so it's a cost. It's not like the free shipping's free to me. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're talking about? Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's a deduction. Me offering free shipping doesn't take away the deduction, is what I'm saying. Yeah, me doing the free shipping doesn't change any. And I mean, you guys do what you want. I never do anything based on like, I don't try to make profit out of tax deductions, if that makes sense. I don't do something just because it's a deduction. You know. Anyway, we're done talking about taxes. If you want to know about taxes, Zoe, Treasure. Zoe, say hi. There's Zoe's Treasures. She Tracy does specific chat shows around accounting on whatnot. So obviously that means it's going to lend a lot towards this type of business model, or pretty much lend towards that. Correct, Zoe? Zoe's Treasures, correct, Tracy? You still do those. Let everybody know when they are. You can post it in the chat. It's very helpful. I don't like talking about that stuff. So you get a free plug here, Zoe's Treasures. You get a free plug. Let everybody know, when you do your accountant show, because there's a lot of people that probably would really like that and benefit from it. There you go. Zoe's Treasures is posted in there for you. All right. Do we have any other questions? If you have questions or comments for me, make sure you use a question mark, or I will not read them. Scuba, did you ask me a question way up here? Can you get to dollar starts and free shipping? Once you get to dollar starts and free shipping, what's the next step to keep your buyer happy? The next step is then you have way more availability to capitalize on your experiential uh, aspects that you can incorporate, and they will compound as a result of the free shipping and dollar starts. So that's when you start working on the dynamics of how your show is run and what you are providing that's above and beyond what other people have to offer, as far as something as simple as the merchandise. So the experiential value then can increase, compounded by the low friction attributes of dollar starts and free shipping. It is the lowest friction possible. And then you can capitalize on things we were just talking about earlier. So just take, for instance, what happened in essentially a workshop on the fly happened here, where people told me the experience I was providing as a result of my dollar and free shipping could have been better. Instead of me saying, oh, if you're going to steal from me, you're going to rob, they said, we're all going to love it way more if you know, value the fact that they paid attention and reward them for paying attention. So instead, I'm going to, from now on, say, oh, I'm thrown in because you were paying attention. I'll come up with verbiage that deals with the fact that they were paying attention to what was going on and got a spectacular steal of a deal that increases the overall value from an experience base for everybody in the show. Everyone said that, everyone agreed with it, so I'm going to shift. But that's what I get to focus on and increase the values. And the only value, the reason that value is there is because I have a dollar start and free shipping. I can create more value out of the experience. It's a multiplier. You don't have to keep going down further. You have to look at it as once you get to the best value you can provide with the environment when it comes to the reduced actual start principal, dollar start free shipping, then it opens up every avenue possible that you can compound the value of the experience. Kapow, I don't, yeah, good customers. I like all my customers and I like to treat them all the same. So I don't give good customers anything extra. Uh, that's why I like when something organic happens, like somebody winning something for $1, and then I can throw in some free gifts as a result. But apparently, my verbiage behind it was not too favorable for some people, and so I'm more than happy to alter it, and that's what we're going to do. I'll call it the attention premium. I think that's good. You guys like that? I like that. It's like you're getting the attention premium, paying attention. Here's some extra items. Yeah, yeah, I know, Kapow. So, any other questions concerning what the information we went over so far? Gray matter still not. Is everyone's gray matter still sleeping? I'm going to drink some more of my matcha. Now you're going to miss it, huh? I put 2 vintage signs in my next show that I use to help me. Anyone is welcome to check them out. I do think Jeremy's sign suggestion work. Oh, you utilized Vintage Farm, yeah. The the cue, your physical visual cue to pivot yourself away from succumbing to the principles that cause the downward spiral. Gotcha. Make sure you use a question mark for me, but I'm guessing Kelly, this is for me. Question: what is the best thermo printer to get the free postage labels? I don't know, Kelly. I mean, I use a thermal printer that costs us $80, and they are workhorses. And I don't try to get free shipping labels. I just buy them. Sometimes, like trying to get this free tape that people talk about and free labels and all that, it's not worth the work. Some of those things if there's any frustration or extra time involved in acquiring them, yeah, I know. But sometimes instead of cutting costs, realizing that paying that already small fraction of an amount that you have to pay would be to buy more in bulk to reduce the cost and then use the time that you save by buying in bulk um, to apply towards sourcing to make more money. So it's an opportunity cost perspective that you have to take, and that comes under some of these things we were talking about earlier. Um, that actually is very reminiscent of the temporal discounting we talked about, where you and the narrow framing, where you're framing something in a guaranteed, you realize right now that you could potentially save some money by getting some free um, labels. But the offset to that is something that is unknown in the future, where you could evaluate the principles of opportunity costs, that spending that time to do that would be worth spending elsewhere, or the time you put into doing that. That's just like the free box concept. You know, the time you spend running around to get free boxes and all that, sometimes it's just better to buy it, buy it in bulk if you have the space for it, or buy it in larger quantity than you normally would, because we usually can get things for cheaper if you buy it in quantity. And then look at it more like, okay, now I have that savings from the quantity buy to go buy more stuff, and I have the time. So you have a double factor. You save money by buying in quantity, and you save time, because time is a compounding attribute to your money. And I'm not telling you to not try to get the free labels if that's really what you want to do. I'm just trying to encourage you to look at things from a different perspective. I mean, it might take you a total of a couple minutes to get free labels, but that's an extreme case. I'm just kind of putting that in the totality of perspective, maybe for you. Okay. Because I've always heard that some people go through monstrously large headaches trying to deal with getting stuff for free from the post office outside of anything other than their priority boxes. What are the changes coming to shipping from whatnot? I don't know. They changed the changes, right? They went from having that they were going to get rid of the flat rate, even though what really they were talking about is they were getting rid of the flat rate across all three flat rate boxes, but they were going to just charge commercial prices for the flat rate box. But the way they communicated, it sounds like they were just getting rid of flat rate entirely and not going to even have it as an option. And then they also confused people by saying that it was going to be commercial rate. People thought the commercial rates were going to be for all priority shipping. And it turned out that that's not necessarily what the situation was. They had to clarify, and now they're keeping flat rate, but upping it to $12.99 with the expectation that eventually they'll roll it out. That's the last I heard. Don't care, because I do free shipping and dollar starts, and the attribute of all of this is I just pay what I need to pay on the back end. So do I utilize the flat rate boxes? Yeah, I certainly did. I did. And will the costs go up? Yes, but at the same time, the other charges are going to go down. So will that offset for me? Probably. And will it offset to the positive? Probably. So overall, it seems like it's going to be a potential benefit. Actually, I should reword that. A potential benefit for the larger items I sell. Um, if the pricing stays what they were showing, my smaller jewelry sales, which is the majority of what I have, I think it's going to go up. Now that I think about it, the more I think about it, I was wrong in that statement. I think it's actually going to cost me more, but I'm not worried about it. It's not going to be anything that's colossally detrimental to my bottom line. Because the same thing happens if everybody else has to start charging more for their shipping. If everybody else's reaction is to increase their shipping costs, that just creates more of a perceived discount for my free shipping. Video listings. No, no. That's similar to some other platforms have video listings. Are you talking about that, Millicent? Is that what they're incorporating? Like almost like a pass through from trying to have a more immersive static listing by utilizing a video. Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't surprise me that they're doing that. Don't you feel a buyer that gets capped shipping will stay if it's always free, can buy anytime? You mean you talk about the psychological principle of earned gain, like where if you earn free shipping, you're going to stay longer? No, because the way the dynamics of this platform is, they can come and go as they please. If they leave and come back, it's not like free went away. So they're not going to stay longer just because they won free shipping. They're going to buy more because they won free shipping. But if you start out with free shipping, they're going to buy more. Whether they come and go is irrelevant because they can do it and the free shipping doesn't go away. So that principle doesn't apply as far as keeping them in the room. Does that make you understand? You're talking about, oh, I won free shipping, so I'm going to stay in the room longer. There's no need to stay in the room longer because they can leave and come back and still have free shipping. I start out at free shipping and capitalize on all the benefits. I don't have to go through the earned reward system. The earned reward system is a value, but all the other values that are attributed to free shipping supersede that way above and beyond. Yeah, I know. I do that in my Friday showing, soon going to go away. I understand once and done, but you're talking about because they win free shipping, they're going to stay in your room longer. I'm saying that's not a driving factor because they can leave and come back and still have free shipping. You understand that? I buy something from you, I win free shipping. I can leave and come back and buy something again with free shipping. Doesn't mean I'm staying in your room. It just means I can come back at any given time and get free shipping. So if I start out with free shipping, the same dynamic. They can leave and continue to come back. The only difference is they don't have to have any threshold to get over. And I get all the psychological benefits that I've talked about today and in the past. Yeah, I know there's people that say that concept and it seems to click in your head at the time it's said. It's fractional acknowledgement, and it seems to make sense because you as a seller are in your show constantly. But you got to look at it from a buyer's perspective. Okay, you're thinking, oh, the buyers are going to be in my show constantly, so if they leave, they're done. They're not coming back. But that's not the case. People scroll search and go back and forth to shows all the time. How many people here as buyers are flipping through shows all the time, bouncing back and forth? The answer is everybody. Everybody. So free shipping is not an incentive. Earned free shipping is not an incentive to stay in the room. It's an incentive to spend more because they earn free shipping. Absolutely. That attribute sticks. The earned incentive. That I'm not going to discount that at all. What I'm going to say is the opportunity costs are that free shipping has way more influential and value-based monetary impacts than discounted shipping. But what I will say is discounted shipping is a spectacular option. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying if you can get over the psychological principles that you inflict upon yourself to incorporate free shipping, there's a ton of value there for you. Yeah. Let's look at that perspective that Forever Kitty's talking about. How many times you're jumping around in different shows is shipping confusing? Think about that impact. Every time you're going from one show to the next, it's like, all right, it's this shipping over here. All right, it's that shipping over here. This person has discount. This person doesn't have discount. How much friction do you think that's causing you? And guess what doesn't happen in my shows with free shipping from a buyer's perspective? None of that. They come in and they know exactly what to expect. They know exactly what they're going to get. And there's no concern. It's, again, friction free. They're not worried about what the start price is because it's a basic start price. That is why your stepping methods on here is, if you have a fluctuation of prices, is to try to get to a single start price, reduces friction. Get to a base shipping price or reduce shipping, reduces friction, complete understanding. Like you said, I agree with that. You could do it in a step manner with reduced shipping. You can go from, okay, buy two, get free shipping. Here's my max shipping. And then you go to buy one and done. I love that principle. If I'm ever going to do reduced, it's always one and done anymore. I like to be able to tell people after your first item, it's free. But now, like I said, upon further reflection, upon further study, I know why I was having some psychological barriers to allowing the value to show itself in free shipping on my Friday shows. It's my personal mindset and allowing that to affect the sale. And now I'm going to shift that, and my Friday shows are going to go to free shipping again. I'm going to do it because I got to put my money where my mouth is, right? I can't sit here and tell you that it was my own personal psychological influences, behaviorally, that prevented me from making the money I should be making with free shipping, and I succumbed to those principles, to those attributes. So now I'm going to work on the methods and practices in order to retrain my brain away from that, so I can go back to all free shipping. Then how do you get people to stay in your show? Experience, what experience you provide. I'm always going to be going back to that. But uh, don't we have a YouTube? Isn't one of our? Yeah, we do. How to get them, how to keep them. Go watch our YouTube reselling roundtable. There's a podcast. One of the episodes is called how to get them, how to keep them. I think we addressed it a couple times. Go watch that. Go watch that. Millicent just put it in there for you. Reselling roundtable. You stay in the show when I win an auction with free shipping and keep buying. If I win in a free shipping show, I normally don't stay nearly as long. Okay. So you have a tendency to be more influenced by the earned principle. Do you sell on here? Dreamful Designs? It's been a year. So you stopped selling on here. Did you do reduced shipping when you sold on here a year ago? Amanda the Auctioneer is rated with a party of two. Amanda the Auctioneer. You and you alone can feel free to plug your shows. Let everybody know what you sell when you sell, and anybody likes you to safely build market file. And remember, everybody, one and only one person can plug their shows, and that's a rater, and the rater only, which can do so up to 2 or 3 times in the next several minutes if they so desire. Again, thank you for the rate, and I hope you had a great, wonderful show. Do I need to buy the special printer for Sun Deals? As far as items you need to start your show, there's other people in here that can give you a great breakdown. I think doesn't Dee do like a show that she answers questions of and has information on the ready that will tell you all the good stuff you need to get started, like product wise. Yeah. Mojo's how I follow and bookmark. Go to D Archivist. She will help you a lot with all that kind of like she's great with the technicals, great with the specifics on products and what kind of printers you should get, depending on what you like, Bluetooth, this, that, and the other thing. And supplies on her way. Yeah. So go check her out. and she's on very frequently. I know at odd hours, but Mojo put it in there for you. Mojo, up a few. If you scroll up, you'll see it at D Archivist. There you go, right underneath you there. That is who you want to go see and talk to about that. A vault of knowledge when it comes to that stuff. I'm trying to find the time to start selling again. We have a crane company and I run the office. Yeah, yeah, that's hard doing the full time job and running at the same time. But we'll tell you, make sure when you decide to get back in that you do have the time, because one of the fundamental supporting principles to success on here, if not the fundamental supporting principle, is consistency. So, all right. It's a nice day out here. I should open the other curtain. Any other questions? Again, you can ask me questions about what we went over, but maybe at this point in time we're too far along from anybody remembering all the details of what we were talking about at the top of the show. Key days of week and month? What do you mean? As far as selling goes? No. Well, it's random rambling, but like I said, I'm changing the the timing of when I go over what. Because I have the YouTube channel now, I want to get into the topics at hand, and that way when people watch it, it's at the front of the video instead of the back of the video, since the videos end up being 2 hours long. So that way when it just gets to this stage where we're just answering questions that may not pertain to the people that want to watch it, they can feel free to stop watching. Yep, Reece on Resale. Zoe's Mod just put it in there if anyone's interested, if you want to watch back what I was talking about earlier. And I'm going to continue doing these compounding videos. This is just another element to free shipping strategy. And there's another video on the Reece on Resale YouTube channel that went into other aspects and valuation principles to offering free shipping. Do I think it brings me new customers? I think it does. To what extent? I have no idea. I have no way to be able to tell. Like if Whatnot had some type of way to see metrics on, hey, the person, attended this show and then bought from this show. If there was something like that, that'd be the only way I would know. I mean, I'm consciously aware of people that have, but to the point of how many, I have no idea. Oops. Rainfall, this may not be the platform for you to do that. If you have a lot of responsibilities, yeah, I know. SS, I can't. I can't. I'll explain my glasses in a second. SS. Thanks for bringing it up. I just didn't want to talk about it because then people are drawn to it. I can do this. Get rid of that screen over there. But my suggestion to you would be more on a that provides you with opportunity to list stuff in a fractured time frame that doesn't require so much a consistency and commitment. And that would be on, like, if you're going to do it on here, would be to not live stream sell. I until Yeah, I just think that'd be a lot harder. I mean, you do what you want. I just feel like that if you have a lot of obligations in life, live stream selling becomes a pretty large one. Yes, we are having a Pennsylvania meetup. We talked about it earlier. Make sure you go check that out. The tickets are available down at in the shop right now. That's the reason I can't The funny thing is, SS, I already have anti glare on my glasses. What I have is an extra coating that deals with blue light. So my options were to have this coating or ones that make my face look blue. So it's either have the reflective with blue or the reflective without blue. And this was the option I went with because I have my face in front of a screen many, many hours out of the day. And it was without a doubt taking a toll on my eyesight. So everyone's going to have to just live with that. I know it is. It's, you can't do anything about it. Yep. Yep. And I'm not going to already, I'm not going to subject myself to any additional negative health attributes to my job or my business than I need to. Yeah. It's just, I mean, and as I said, the only reason I never brought it up yet is because as soon as I do, now people are going to be like, "Oh yeah, you got these glare, the glare on your glasses." So, have you experienced? Yeah, the Apple products, in my opinion, I'm not an Apple fan, but people program for Apple before they do Android, and I understand why. So all the features that you're looking for are pretty much always made available first and most effectively on Apple products. So that's that's my and Android, can Android zoom out at all? I know at one point they couldn't zoom out. Can Android zoom out when you're selling? It can now. Okay. How's my strategy shifted over the years? What was your hardest lesson learned? Hardest lesson learned was the consistency principle that I was talking about. When we stopped being consistent in our first year, from our first year to our second, we lost a colossal amount of momentum and probably drug us down substantially. Yeah, not zoom in, but the zoom out feature from selling this feature. If your Android can't do that immediately, get an iPhone. So yeah, if your Androids can't do that, if you have the capacity or availability, that is a substantial. That right there is one of the most valuable things you can employ. Visual real estate, as rare as it is on here, that is colossal. That is a huge value. If you weren't aware of that attribute, and I just showed you, that's more value than anything else I've told you so far today, and most of anything you could learn. I was answering that other question real quick. How has my strategy shifted over the years? Well, my strategy, was forced to shift based on what not changes. My strategy has shifted from changing the type of product I sell to accommodate for the platform and the opportunities that it provides, meaning that I went from selling larger based items to smaller based items and increasing the volume and capacity at which I can handle uh, items. So instead of selling large items for 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 or whatever dollars, I'm selling small items, which is jewelry. I was never a jewelry seller. So that was probably one of the biggest and colossal shifts I made was strategically going from, having a huge warehouse that it was needed to house boxes and boxes of glassware, antiques, collectibles that took substantial amounts of packing and shipping load to get them out the door to little tiny items and increasing them to the same price points that I was getting for larger items. No, I can't give you technicals. I know, as especially when it comes, I'm not a tech person. I just what for 2 weeks? What's with the watch to earn and gift on the screen now? That's a bitter conversation for me. The watch to earn stuff is a distraction from my show. It's a distraction from me selling stuff. It's a distraction designed to keep people on the app, but yet not buying, which I failed to understand. It is a concern of mine because the reason I'm not on other platforms is because they don't have stuff like that on here, and they're starting to incorporate things that are on other platforms that I don't go to because I don't like that, which then means that the reasons I don't want to be on the other platforms means then that I might have to explore being on the other platforms, which I don't want to do because I like selling here. I mean, not that I'm not going to sell here, but one of the things that keeps me from even caring about other platforms is that they don't have video game attributes that create colossal distractions. I like people to be able to focus and pay attention to what I'm selling. Yeah, running shows regularly and consistency across the board. Yeah, well, I don't like it from a lot of standpoints. Okay, somebody wins, it's great. They're on here a lot. They're winning and getting these reward points or whatever coins, what the points, whatever points they're getting, and then they get a big, huge, glorified, praise thing that somebody a Statue of Liberty thing. When they win, it like takes up half the screen. I mean, that's a distraction to me. I understand that alone is a distraction, but the biggest distraction is that people actually have to spend time doing that. Now, I'd much rather them spend time in people's shows. So now they're spending time trying to get the shows in order to do it says like, oh, go visit these multiple shows to earn points. This show, you have to go and enter X amount of giveaways, and you earn points. Watch X amount of time in shows, earn points. Like, just let's stick with, it being centered around the actual selling and buying of merchandise. That all has to do with being on the app. All right. Let's get people on the app because they like the experience that is provided through the sales transactions. I did. And I tell everybody else to tell them that they hate it. Yeah, it's a strategy. But let's say they give all of us the tools that deal with creating experiences on an individualized basis that we could leverage and capitalize how we would like to. Yeah, you get points for bidding and buying. That's like the lesser of it, but I still they get points to go do what with, and then it's still a distraction. Let's do this instead. Let's do this instead. Let's focus on the ability for individual people to be able to give credits to their own shows for buying and spending money, not discounts only through the reward system they already have built in, but let's expand that reward system to have more options for us to leverage to build our own give back in our own environment that we create, our own experience that we can provide. Let me be able to go, hey, if you are in my show for X amount of time, you win the ability to get a credit towards your next purchase, or to be able to design credits and give people based on how much they spend, not coupons. Extend it to credits. Spend the time doing that because there's a difference between coupons and credits. And to be able to just literally give them to people as money that can be spent right here. Extend the rewards program. as opposed to that. And that's just what I'm thinking of off the top of my head. That is not a distraction. That is a buyer transactional based principle that can be leveraged by us sellers. That I can't. If they win points for buying, great. How's that help me? If they're going to buy anyway, if people are deciding to buy just to win points for free nothings, that's such a minute amount of influence. There's no value to that. There's no value to going and getting a picture that flashes on your screen, or that when you tap, it's not hearts, it's fire emojis. And the discounted value in my visual real estate that disappeared because people can't see the merchandise I'm selling is a colossal distraction. Huge. You can't hardly see the merchandise anymore without text over it or some type of description that's colossally lengthy, or show notes. If you have show notes and that little window up there, and you have a lengthy description of an item with a picture, you can't see anything. Show them. Yeah, 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 yeah. I did. I already showed that once. And then if you're somebody like me that has poor eyesight and I have to have my text larger, don't forget, everybody, not all people see equally. Okay. Not all phones have the same text size. I have to increase my text size so I can read it because of my eyesight. Yes. And then when you make it larger, it takes up even more visual real estate. Wonder why my, hold on a second. My battery's draining even though it's plugged in. Oh, maybe I just plugged it in a little bit ago. So if I can find it, I'll show you what I'm talking about, everybody. Look, this is just an example of one person's view. Okay? One person's view. That's, look at that. You have all this. Now your visual real estate is this little tiny bit. Your show notes were up here, which would have given you, and you have such small space to begin with. It would have given you, your show notes would have been up here. All that would have only been taken up. You would have had all this additional visual real estate. That's what I'm saying. Do you realize when you're showing your merchandise, you have to strategically cram it up in this little corner right now? For people that have this, if you have show notes, and my description is super small. If I have a long description and a picture, you know that pushes all that up. If I showed you some other people, their chat would be way up here, and you'd have this little tiny block. So people literally have to swipe in order to bid, which then takes them out of the benefit that you have of the experiential principles that I talk about of people being involved in the chat. They have to leave the chat, and eliminates the description. Now it keeps the description. If you swipe twice, it eliminates everything. But that's not what I want to do. I want my people engaged. They tell you what not themselves, be engaging. How are you supposed to have a nice, engaging environment, capitalize on people engaging with one another based on your cues and your environment you provide, if people have to leave the chat all the time in order to see what you're selling? And then if people complain, about not seeing something because there's a bunch of text in the way, we don't need all this on your screen. It doesn't. They, they keep cramming way too much. Also, don't forget. Oh my goodness! If somebody pins or if you have a flash sale going, you can't see anything. How many people here know what I'm talking about? You've been in a room, somebody pins an item, or a mod in the chat pins something like they're giving a description, and they pin it. Everything go. It's just like nothing. You can't. You can see literally like lines of text and some vague item behind there. Have you noticed there is a gray filter on top of your video feed? Makes your video darker. No, I haven't. I'll have to I'll have to look. Yeah, I it's just they keep wanting to cram and cram and cram. And that's also why this is even that much more valuable. When you have the option to go from this to that, it's just um a necessity almost at this point. Yeah, and then that's the other thing, Kapow. People are swiping out of rooms, one trying to bid, and two trying to see the freaking item. Functionally problematic. How many people have done that? Can't see an item, you try to swipe the chat away, and you end up leaving the room. How many people have done that? Wouldn't it be nice if you weren't required and your entire freaking the entire screen wasn't blocked up with all the unnecessary things in them? And then you wouldn't even have to do that? Yeah, I love discounts. I'm That's why I'm so frustrated about the points. Hmm, that's weird. Hmm. Yeah, I have to look at that then. Well, that's strange. You have to use two phones so you can stay engaged and bid at the same time. Yeah. A lot of people do what you hear, Moon Sky. SS, you have to go look. The topic of this evening. All right. Real quick, I'm running low on time. I'm running low on time. PA meetup. All right. Go check you can go check the information out, have it in to buy it now. 10/3/26. I'll be there. Lysandra and Tony are going to be there doing a whole workshop, a whole shipping setup and workshop, which I think is going to be extremely helpful to a lot of people. That I mean, that's always a huge topic. Okay, Moon Sky. Um, and then from Zoe's Treasures, obviously, Zoe's Treasures is putting this whole thing together. Tracy from Zoe's Treasures. So she's the one to thank and show the appreciation towards for putting this together. They are available for you to purchase right now. Um, she's going to be going over what is it? You called it build or something? Basically, yeah, building your business, from my understanding. From yes. Um, so she'll be doing that. I'll be doing a talk on, of course, behavioral principles. I'm going to be talking about the behavioral principle of arbitrary coherence. It's going to be a topic I'm going to put together. It's called comparative based selling and threads of coherence strategy to take advantage of that. And then Deneen from Dragonfly Neen is going to be there talking about sourcing. So we're going to be covering a lot. There's going to be a lot of time as well, from my understanding, to mingle, to chat, to talk, go over, brainstorm amongst one another. It's I feel going to prove to be a really good educational and entertaining and fun time. Uh, so make sure you check that out. Again, you can buy them now from me here, or if I'm not on, they're probably in my store, but Zoe's Treasures has them available for purchase as well. She's the one that has the most of them. They gave me a few to help sell. So everybody that wants to go, just because it's in PA, okay, doesn't mean you have to be from Pennsylvania. Not you, anybody, everybody that wants. If you're want to come in and you have the means to get there, absolutely, you're welcome. This is not a PA only; it's just in PA. So, will any of them meetup be streamed or recorded? I think, from my understanding, they're going to check on the ability for that to be the case. There you go. Joey's Treasures just said some of it will. Nice to know. Yeah. Yeah, check. I don't know how many tickets are left. I'm pretty certain from the last time I was made aware, a good 50+% of them. We still have some time left before it even happens. So I think we're gonna end up running out of tickets, is my gut feeling. You have 45 tickets left. Yeah. I mean, they're not like, but there's so much time in between now and then. I know it's gonna go fast, but at the rate that they're going, I find it hard to believe that they're not going to be it's not going to be sold out. Yeah. Yep. So over 70 sold in a few weeks, and we only had what? How many were available? I thought it was 150. There's only 125. Okay. Yeah, they're going to be gone. um. Yeah. If you're thinking of going, check your dates, check your times, and check to make sure that if you want to get there, that you get them sooner rather than later. Would be my suggestion. Oh, um, I know you're listening. You sent me a text. That was that's already understood and not going to happen. That's why it was already. Yeah, that was already decided on, that wasn't going to be the case. Anyway, now I'm beyond red chatting now. I'm answering text live. People don't generate text. Yes, Moon Sky. Yep, yeah. This is all going to be available on my YouTube channel. So there's two YouTube channels. Right before I leave, if anyone wants to throw those in there for anybody that didn't have the opportunity to watch this entire episode or this chat. No, it for other reasons I don't cast it, Moon Sky. I don't cast it because it's on a non-affiliate Green 13 channel. So it goes to my Reece On Resale channel. So yeah. So it is time for me to get going. I'm gonna get heading out here. Again, if you want to watch this back, I've changed the timeline on which I cover information on here. I go over the points that I want to go over early, and then answer the questions. That way, I think it's a little more convenient for people that are looking for the core information can watch it starting from the beginning, and then if they're not interested in the random rambling part, they can decide to stop watching. We're going to raid. We'll see what options are out there. Do. I don't know. Pick for me. Hens on Nest Fenton. You're gonna go look at some Hens on Nest Fenton stuff. So until next time, everybody, happy bidding, and I look forward to seeing you there.